Oh, yo, what is up, everybody out there in the world? We are back at it again. I'm uh I'm feeling I don't want to say under the weather. Where did that phrase come from? I don't know where that phrase came from.
Nose
I'm
under
not
the
yeah,
weather.
I'm besides the
Oh,
weather.
you
I
know
got
what?
my tea
Maybe under the spell of the weather, but it's hot
under the
outside.
spell of the weather. Yeah, it's hot out here in Cali. You know, I got
Yeah.
tea. I got my little orange. What is this? Um, my citrus. Um, for this conversation
Yeah.
because I am sick of these problems that we continue to have. I'm just as a physical demonstration. I'm going all out today, everybody. No, I'm joking. Um, but yeah, we welcome you in. I'm your co-host Don Dees with my lovely sister,
Sierra Monique.
and we are here live on YouTube for you to join us in this conversation. Or
Yeah.
maybe you're watching this later. Maybe you're checking this out later. That's
Right.
also fine as well. Um, but this is our last discussion on this book. It's a good book, but I think that we are
We have
our,
worn our welcome
our
with this book.
yes. Um, at this point, he's not sponsoring us. So we're going to leave today's discussion is good though, but yeah, we'll leave the rest of the book to you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, but before we get into our discussion, um, how are you, my sister? What's new with you?
I am doing really well. What's new with me is I don't know. It's the same old usually. It's been a crazy day for it to be Friday. It's been a crazy day, but I guess you can like a Freaky Friday. But
Mm,
just I don't know. I'm ready. I'm ready for the weekend to start and just to relax and just unplug from work and any kind of major obligations.
mm-hmm.
You know, the weekend is for us to chill. It's for you to relax and enjoy your family and rest. And that's what I'm ready for. I'm ready to do all that. So
Me too.
that's nothing majorly new with me this week. What about you?
Yeah. Other than being sick all week, nothing really majorly new with me as well. Honestly.
Eh,
Um. Yeah. You know what was funny though? This week, I don't know why. Usually my week is full of just work that I have to do, just
uh-huh.
here in the house, working at the home office, typing
Yeah.
away, tippity tap. But for
Hmm.
whatever reason, this week I had two meetings scheduled. I was supposed to like film something at the church, and this
Hmm.
other dude wanted to meet with me. And of course, this is the week that I get sick, had to cancel all the meetings. And I'm like, man, y'all never want to see me except the week that I'm sick. Fun, fun, fun.
Yeah.
So, yeah, nothing really new. Nothing really new. Just that. But let's jump right into our topic, man, because we got a good one.
Yes.
These punks are at it again, and we're going to rectify that. We're talking about two things that go together, but they are their own thing, but they go
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
Arguing and apologies.
Yes.
Um, yeah, and yeah. This is a good topic. This is a good topic.
Yeah.
So man, let's just jump right into it. Let's just jump right into it.
Right.
And before we do though,
Oh,
we need
yes.
y'all to subscribe to this page. Like for real, okay? We wanna build this thing up. We've got a few of you, and we want to have more on us. So if you're
Right.
seeing this, even if you're just perusing the internet and you're just kind of like, hey, I haven't subscribed to anybody. It's free. It's free. You don't have to pay any money. Just a little
Right.
click. Just a little click, and we got good discussions. You're gonna love it. So
Right.
add us on there and get us in there. Your grandmas, your uncles, your aunties, your next door neighbors, vacuum cleaner salesman. Just all of them. Just bring them on in. All right.
Eh,
Um, so yeah, I just want to say that, and then of course we're gonna get into the topic for today.
right, right. Yeah. So our topic is don't apologize and forgive like a punk.
Hmm.
Because the book that we're covering is Marriage Ain't for Punks by
Marriage ain't for
Pastor Calvin
punks.
Roberson, who is a relationship expert on Married at First Sight on Lifetime. He is also a pastor. And from listening to the forgiveness chapter, he actually he mentioned that him and his wife do coaching for marital couples. So that is
Mm,
awesome. So that him and his wife are doing great things together in that respect. So everything that we're going to talk about today, of course, is to teach you how not to apologize and to forgive like a punk. Because like we said, the punks are people who run away from the problem. They run away from any kind of accountability and responsibility. They do
right.
not want to stick around. So punks jump up
To get beat down by relationships,
our relationship. They jump
by
up
the
to
vibes of
relationships.
love.
Right. They jump up for the relationship, but then they get beat down by having to face the responsibilities of relationship
Yeah.
because there are responsibilities in relationships. It's not
Hmm.
just bubble gums and gumdrops and roses and flowers and
Right.
candy and dark chocolates. There is actual work that's good work that actually helps um, extend, your relationship and to help the longevity, if you will, of your
These are facts.
relationship. Yes. So, all right. So,
Let's get
this
into it.
right. These chapters is chapter 10 and 11, correct?
Hmm. Hmm.
Yes. Chapter 10 talks about how to apologize, right? And so punks don't like to apologize. And he talks
Mm.
about how it's important to apologize. Did you want to go ahead and read the questions that we have for people to ponder?
Yeah. There's a couple of questions.
Right.
The first one talk because so he talks in there. He talks about reconciliation being
Right.
the goal. Like when you
Mhm.
are in arguments, when you are apologizing, the main reason that you're doing this should be because you're trying to reconcile the situation. That
Right.
should be your main
Right.
goal. But
Mhm.
I was wondering because before I read this book, I don't know that I really thought like this. I don't know if you thought this way
Okay.
about apologies, but the question I have is: has reconciliation always been your goal in giving apologies, or are
Right.
there other goals that you have? Like, yeah, let me
Yeah.
just leave it at that for
Okay.
now. So yeah. So let's for
Yeah.
me,
Hmm.
no, reconciliation was not always on my mind.
Right.
Sometimes I just was like, bro, I don't want to be dealing with this anymore. Let me just quit. All right, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Right.
Whether I
Right.
meant it or not, I was just saying it.
Yeah. Just saying it.
Sometimes, and I'm
Yeah.
not even talking just about my own relationship right now. I'm
Right.
thinking about through the span of people I've dated and
Right.
all that. But I don't
Right.
know. How about you?
Yeah. I'm with you. I guess it's 50-50. So depending on how long the argument is going on, sometimes you will go ahead and apologize so you can go ahead and reconcile and move on.
Hmm.
But then sometimes you're like, oh, let me just apologize. This person's getting on my nerves. Or let me apologize because I asked them for something, and if I don't apologize, then maybe they won't remember to give it to me.
Ah, yes,
So yeah,
yes.
sometimes you can apologize for and you can apologize insincerely, if that's a word, in an
Hmm.
insincere way. And he talks about that, and we're going to touch on that in a little bit. But yeah, he did
Hmm.
talk about having a sincere or insincere apology. But yeah, I think sometimes we do apologize just to get out the way,
Yeah.
um, or just to make sure that whatever we were wanting, we're going to still get. Don't
Exactly.
forget. Don't forget. So yeah, and then I know one question that I wanted to pose was why do people avoid apologizing?
Mm.
Yeah, so he had touched on some things, and I was like, oh yeah, I've done that before. So pride and stubbornness, because stubbornness requires accountability and becoming vulnerable. And then he also touched on something that was really good, that men don't like to apologize because they were told that being to be an apologetic means it's a sign of weakness.
Yeah.
So it's
You're
like,
showing your faults. You're like
right.
admitting that you aren't perfect, that you don't have
Yeah.
it all together. It's
Yeah.
almost like asking for directions when you're
Right.
driving. That
Right.
was
He
like the
said,
old back in the day one. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. 'Cause he talked about that. He talked about how you don't want to accept that you don't know it all.
Right.
So if you apologize, it's like, oh, okay, you were right. I didn't know how to get to the park. I didn't know how to get to the concert. Now we late and we 30 minutes walking up in here. We don't miss the concert. We don't pay $200 for these tickets.
Mm, mm.
And you don't want to say that. So have you ever avoided,
Oh
apologizing?
yeah.
Yeah.
I've tried to rationalize or try to like say my point, and
Hmm.
the problem is my wife is she's too smart. She knows, like she doesn't, excuse me, she doesn't know everything, but she
Right.
knows a lot,
Uh-huh.
and she is very sensible in the way that
Yeah.
she thinks. She's very rational. Sometimes when I do stuff, I'll just be like in the moment. Like he uses this story of this couple who has a business together,
Hmm.
and the guy has this great idea, but he didn't do all his research, and so he's like, actually, I thought it was a good idea, but it didn't work out well. And that definitely was me a lot of the time. I've definitely had those kind of situations where, yeah, this looks like a good idea at present, and I think I can understand how it works out. And then my wife will ask like one question that I didn't think about, and it just
Right.
the whole thing comes tumbling down, and I have to try to justify myself. She's just like, ugh. So
Oh, uh-huh.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've definitely tried to avoid apologizing. And wait till, because, and like, how he talks about the different types of apologies. I'm gonna tell you which
Right.
one when we get to it. I'm gonna tell you which
Okay.
one I used a lot. Yeah. You
Oh,
could probably
okay.
guess. You could probably guess, but yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's jump into it. So, how to apologize? Okay. You know that you were wrong. So, how do you go about apologizing? So, Pastor Cal, I always want to say Pastor Cal. I mean, he is, but
He is. He
the
is.
author, Calvin Robertson, he said that a good apology is not about the actual words as much as the intentions behind the words. So he says sincerity leads to honest communication, which leads to a viable resolution. So you want to focus on your intent for apologizing. So, like basically what we just talked about, whether you reason why you avoid apologizing from your pride, or the reason why you apologize, to get it over with, or just to get what you want from the other person. So, what's your intent for apologizing? So, he said, in order for an apology to be successful, there are three things that are required. He said, first, you need to have a positive and accepting environment. So, when you are going to apologize, the person you're apologizing to needs to be open and patiently wait for your apology. So they shouldn't be like, okay, like when you gonna apologize? Like I mean, like for real, like how long has it been? I mean, I'm waiting. And then he said, don't do that. You're just supposed to be open and patiently wait. Like, don't push them to apologize. Don't keep pointing out the wrong, thinking that the more and more and more you point out to them how right you were and how wrong they are, that they are going to apologize sincerely. So you want to have an open and patient, I guess, attitude to accept their apology, and that creates a nice, safe environment. You want that person to know that this is a safe place for me to become vulnerable, for me to let down my pride, for me to actually own up to what I did. And he said that also you want that person to feel like whatever they're about to say, you're not going to use it against them later on. So you don't want to basically use their vulnerability as a weapon against them later on. He said you want to remove the enemy from the problem. So your spouse or your partner is not the enemy. The
Mm.
enemy is the
Say
problem.
it again. Oh, say it again.
let me say it again for the people in the back. Your
Mm-hmm.
spouse or your partner is not your enemy. Okay. So
That's a hard one.
you want to remove the idea of the enemy from your spouse or your partner. So the enemy is the problem. Your spouse is not the enemy. So he said, don't act as if, you're owed something as well. Don't act as if you are owed this apology, because remember, the way you want to the way you receive their apology is the same way you're going to want them to receive your apology. Because just know, just because they're wrong right now does not mean that you're never going to be wrong, and that you're never going to want someone to forgive you and accept your apology. So you have to remember that. He said, check your posture and your gestures. Again, if you're like for real, and you're just all like uptight, but if you're just sitting there and you're smiling, I wouldn't say smiling, because if you're hurt, you're not smiling, but you're sitting there ready and you're receptive, and you're not distracted. You're not watching TV. You're not on your phone. You
Not
are
picking your nails.
right. You're not
Like,
eating.
go ahead. Yeah.
So he said, be mature. He said, you want to be mature and you want to focus on the resolution rather than the justification. So it's not, their apology is not for you to say, I told you I was right. The apology is to start the process of resolution. All right. Number 2 is have a willing heart. He said, have respect for your partner. You have a deep desire to resolve the issue because you value and love your partner. And when your partner knows you care for them, then they are more willing to open their heart to you and say, you know what, I was wrong. You know what, you were right. So, have respect for them. Don't disrespect them. Don't point out, every little bit of detail. Well, you didn't apologize for this. What about this? It's like, okay, look, if they're coming to you to say they're sorry, go ahead and have a willing heart to accept that. Which leads to number 3 is having a receptive attitude. Don't say when they apologize, don't say, yeah, you should be sorry, or sorry didn't do the wrong thing. Sorry didn't do the wrong, you did. Or don't say to them, I don't need your apology. Or don't say, you're sorry, all right. I know he
Sorry,
had
excuse for yeah.
That's what he had. He had one of the 2. He said, sorry excuse for a husband, or sorry excuse for a wife or a partner. He said, you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
He said, and you don't want to ask non-resolving questions. Like, don't say, why did you do that? Or what were you thinking? And I thought this was really good. God bless you. I thought it was really good that he said that sometimes when we do things, we do them, in an irrational way. So we don't even know why we did it. It's just like, when your child does something and you go, like, why did you write on the wall? I gave you a marker and paper. Like, why did you go and write on the wall? And sometimes people just don't know why just like kids don't know why they do stuff. Sometimes people don't know why they did it at that moment. I'm gonna say at the moment for an adult, because they have to really sit down and find out, okay, why did I do it? Like, what triggered me? Like what happened? What was going on at the time that I did this? Or what happened before I did it? So usually sometimes they don't really know why they did it until they actually sit down and think about it. He says that when you have a negative attitude and you say all those negative things and have a negative response to them, it just keeps the argument going. And then that means there's going to be no resolution in sight. So you don't want to respond to your mate with negativity or sarcasm. You want to give grace and be grateful that they're apologizing. Now, I know when he said this, I know a lot of people are like, wait a minute. They need to apologize to me. What do you mean I should be grateful that they apologize? No.
Why am I grateful to them? Yeah.
Right. Why am I grateful to them? And they're the ones who hurt me. And he's saying that because they don't have to apologize to you. But the fact that they realize, once they come to themselves and realize that they were wrong and they want to apologize, that's them saying to you, I respect you and I value and I want to start healing this. They may not say that in their own words, but that is what is being expressed by saying, I am sorry. He also said, which is really good, accepting the apology is not accepting the wrongdoing or offense. So you have to remember that. So just because someone says, I apologize, when you accept it, don't think that you're accepting what they're doing, or you're condoning what they're doing by accepting their apology. Um, he said, you just want to acknowledge the apology. You want to say to them, I accept that you see what you did wrong, or I accept that you see what went wrong. That
Mhm.
is what that means when you accept their apology.
Man,
Again,
you know what that made me think about? So I used to do that with my kids too, because
mhm,
I try to push myself to apologize to my kids when
mhm,
I, you know, even if they did something wrong, if
right,
I didn't like deal with it as a mature adult, if I start yelling at them or I'm like going off like I'm another
right,
kid like them, I will go and apologize to them and be like, you know what, I'm sorry I didn't handle this. And what really kind of got me to start thinking about the difference between I accept your apology and what we usually say that's okay,
right,
because I was like, I know I would not really want I don't want to be treating my kid like this, but the only response they know is that's okay. And I'm
right.
thinking of them, and I had to teach them. I was like, you know what? Actually, it's not okay. Like
Mhm,
you could say, that you accept the apology, but don't accept that behavior because I don't want any other adults treating you like this, and I don't want you thinking
right,
this is okay. That kind of
right,
thing too. So I was like, oh man, yeah, that it really is true to like train yourself to literally say I accept your apology as opposed to that's okay, which is it's like a
right,
soft condoning,
right,
of the
right.
behavior. Yeah.
Yeah, and he talked about that too later on, about what not to say, which was the next thing. You just led right into it. He
Mm,
says when they come to apologize to you and they say I'm sorry, I'm sorry. He said don't respond carelessly and say it's okay. He said
mm.
don't say, "Oh, no, it's no big deal." Don't say, "Oh, don't worry about it." He said because the truth is that it's not okay. What
Right.
they did to you was not okay. They caused hurt, they caused pain and frustration and stress and strife and all that stuff. And it was not okay. So don't say it's not okay. Because sometimes, as the person who is accepting the apology, because it's our spouse, because it's our partner, we love them so much. Sometimes we're trying to take the weight of the burden off of them. Sorry, my
Mm,
son. Trying to take the weight and the burden off of them. Like, like, it's okay, honey. I forgive you. It's like, no, no, let them sit in that. Let them sit and recognize and realize, okay, what you did was hurtful.
yeah.
And thank you for apologizing to me. And don't say it's okay, no big deal, or don't worry about it. Just say thank you. Thank you for apologizing to me. Just say thank you. Because then you just start the process. Because my thing is, if you keep telling somebody, "Oh, don't worry about it," then they'll do it again,
You're
and it may
really
not
gonna
be the
worry
same
about it.
thing, but they'll know. Oh, okay, oh, my partner, they're so easygoing.
Yeah.
It's okay because sometimes, like subconsciously, they'll start doing things and go, "Oh, they'll be all right," because they're just very nice, and you don't want someone to take advantage of your kindness, and yeah,
Right.
or take advantage of your grace. Because after a while, you're going to get fed up and it's going to become a whole nother problem. All
And then
right.
you get into
Right.
like an emotional prison sort of,
Yeah.
because
Hmm. Yeah.
you then told them it's okay, so now you feel like it's your fault if you go back and be like, well, actually it's not. Be like, well,
Right.
why did you say? Because you said it was okay.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah. And that
Yeah.
starts building up.
Exactly. It will
Yeah.
be. What is this net coming from? I'm being attacked by a net.
Trying
Okay.
to let you know it's not okay.
It's not okay.
Yeah.
It's not okay.
It's your
All right. So
conscience.
here we go. Here's the types of apologies.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have three, and I added my own little definitions as well. But here's three. He said there's proactive apology, which I call direct apology. So the
Mm,
apology is given without being asked. So you recognize you did something wrong, and before your partner even says anything about it, you automatically go to them. So, hey, I realize I did this, and you haven't brought it to my attention, but I'm sorry. So he said that his wife, him and him, his wife, him and his wife. Oh my God, let me get it together. Him and his wife, Wendy, they call that rush to reconcile. You rush to go ahead and reconcile. And rush to reconcile is a good thing. You're not prolonging the problem. You're not waiting for your partner to say what happened. So you say I'm sorry without speaking about the other person, about what the other person did too. So you're not saying, I'm sorry, but you did this to me. You don't say that. You say I'm sorry for what I did. And then when it comes to the opportunity for you to express how you felt about what they did to you, then you do that. But don't say, I'm sorry, but you did this to me. You don't do that.
Yeah.
He said the goal is to get back to a happy and peaceful relationship by any means necessary. So sometimes I put, apologizing even if you're not wrong. Because for some reason, your spouse, they just do not see the error of their ways, if you will. They do not see what happened. And they just get, no, it was you. No, it's like, okay, you know what? I wave my flag. Okay, you know what? You're right. Sometimes
that's tough.
Sometimes that, you know what, you're right.
Tough.
That is hard. That is so hard because you want to be justified. You want that person to realize what they did to you. And sometimes, it can just get too long. And you're like, you know what? It's okay. That is okay. But you know what? You're right.
Let's move past it.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And in a spiritual standpoint, that's when you go to God about it. Like, God, for some reason I'm not getting through. This person is not hearing me. My boo, my babe, my husband, my wife is not hearing me. And so I give this to you so that you can help them, him, her to see what they did wrong. Because sometimes you need to take a step back and just stop talking about it and then let God show them what happened. So that's being a proactive person. I'm sorry, that's a proactive way of apologizing.
Apology. Yeah.
Okay. The other one is
that was not me, by the way.
That one was not you.
No, that was not. That one was not.
That wasn't you. Okay.
Very rarely. Very rarely.
Very rarely. Okay.
Yeah.
The second way is a reactive, proactive, and now you have reactive. So this is a person who's avoidant. Okay. They avoid apologizing. Their apology is given when requested, and it can be sincere or it can be insincere. He said that admitting to the wrongdoing after being caught or called out. So you get caught, and he uses a lot, especially in relationships, when there's infidelity and the person doesn't apologize until they get caught. And so, of course, the person who found out about it is like, okay, well, were you ever going to apologize? Were you ever going to admit to this if I never brought it up? And the flip side to that, he said that the reactive a reactive apology from a person like this also may not know that they did something wrong.
Yeah.
So, and they may apologize to you sincerely because they did not even know. And that can happen. You could be doing something and not know that you're doing something that's hurting or offending your mate. And I know sometimes people will say, well, you should understand me or you should know me by now. But let me tell you something. Everybody doesn't work the same way you work when it comes to your mind.
If you don't know me by now.
So
no, that's not true. That's toxic. Sorry. No.
Yeah. Yeah. So they may not know, what you're thinking. So they can't read your mind. So you have to say to them, hey, when you said this to me, when you did this to me, it hurt. Your husband or your wife, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, maybe, always, saying these little sarcastic or smart remarks about something physical about you. And you're insecure about it, but you never say anything to them about it. So when you bring it up to them, then they will apologize.
Yeah.
Sorry, and say, I'm sorry. So that's a reactive, a reactive way to apologize. I also put avoidant on there because avoidant also is someone who does not apologize at all. And I know he gave a great analogy about, the couple the man who went and made a decision to buy a property or some kind of acquisition and he didn't tell his wife, and she didn't bring up how she felt, so he just didn't talk about it. So it's like, if you don't bring it up, they're not going to talk about it, and they're not going to apologize. So it's like, it's like, oh, well, until they say something about that, I'm not going to do it. So that's an avoidant person. All right, now
Right.
I think this one resonates with a lot of people, but this is the inactive apology or the indirect apology. So
This
this
is me.
person avoids confrontation or conversation to discuss feelings. They don't want to discuss feelings. So instead of doing that, they will choose to apologize to you through acts of service. They will go and do stuff for you. They will go and buy things for you. And he says this is a selfish approach to apology, because you take away the other person's opportunity to tell you how they feel. And if you are a person who, like, I don't want to hear all that, I don't want to hear here's a Dooney and Burke bag.
Oh my gosh.
Here's a salmon meal, or something that the person really likes and you just haven't gotten it for them, or they haven't had it in a while. I'm just going to do this to apologize, and you never say anything. That also is very toxic, and you've seen this probably a lot before, and either through movies or television, or personally, where it's someone who is physically abusive, and they hurt you with their hands, or they are verbally abusive and they hurt you with their words, and they never apologize. They see that you're hurt, but they'll go out and they'll buy you something and they'll bring it to you, and they won't say they're sorry. They'll just put it in front of you, and then that's supposed to be their apology. And that's just a very immature way. So he said it's a very selfish approach. And he said it takes away, like I said, the right of your mate to discuss and address your feelings. So does this resonate with you? I'm not talking about not the abuse part, but the avoiding the confrontation or avoiding having to discuss what happened, and you just decide to go and do something for your wife instead.
Yeah, I've had like maybe like kind of like a hybrid version, because I'm sure there's every continuum in between, but I've had it where sometimes I'll just talk directly about it because I just can't stand the tension.
Right.
Or I've had times where I was like, man, let me just like we have an argument, and then like I leave the house because I got to do something, so I don't get to address it right then, or she leaves the house, so she's got to do something, so we don't get to address it right then. And then just the next time we come together, I just start talking normal, like everything's fine again, and then see what's the vibes right there. Is it like, okay, yeah, we seem like we're just fine, so I guess that thing is fine, we don't need to talk about it. I mean, we're in a good mood, we're in a good space right now, why mess all of that up? But I think he would probably challenge even that as well, because you still haven't addressed the issue, and it's still there, and as long as you don't address it, it'll come up like hives when you least expect it.
Yeah, as soon as that person does something else, it's gonna pop up again. Yeah. So
that's why you should have brought the carrots back. Whoa, wait a minute! I thought we were talking about the kids at school. Why are you bringing up the carrots?
Right. Yeah. So I know that has happened to me, that where someone has hurt me and they just shut down and not talk to me anymore, and they just wait for the time to go past, and then they'll go, "Hey, how you doing?" I'm like, "Wait a minute, wait, what? I hadn't heard from you, and you haven't apologized." And it's a whole thing. There's one thing that he did not mention, or I didn't hear, is that you should not apologize with an if. Because that's not saying that you recognize that you did something wrong. So when somebody says, I apologize if I hurt you, or I apologize if that made you feel this way, that's saying that, that's saying that I don't really apologize, but if it hurts you, I'm gonna go ahead and say this. To me, that's kind of like, I think that's a part of being a reactive apology, because the person's coming to you and saying, you said this to me and it hurt my feelings. You say, okay, well, I'm sorry that if I hurt you. It's like, no, I just told you that you hurt my feelings, and you're saying if again. So no, take the if out of it, because it happened. It happened. Now,
Right.
if you don't feel like you did anything wrong, then don't apologize because it's not sincere.
Right.
I
Have the
think you,
conversation as to
yeah,
why you don't think it was
right,
wrong.
right, and so you can get the understanding. Absolutely. All right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
those were the ways to apologize and to not apologize and how to receive the apology. And now here comes the big thing. This is the problem that is in every, I mean, this is not just, I mean, forgiveness is a thing that just spans across everything. It's not just relationships, like romantic relationships. It's also in your family life, in your work life, just everybody.
Oh
um
yeah.
but specifically today we're talking about marriages and relationships, and we're talking about the big old F word.
The
Dun,
F
dun,
word.
the big old F word. Dun dun
Yes.
dun. Forgiveness. Woo, it's
Yeah.
like a curse word.
Yeah. Yeah.
People
This is a
people
tough one.
do not like to forgive. It is so hard for people to forgive. And it don't even matter if you told them, well, God forgave you. They're like, oh, okay,
Oh
well, I'm not
gosh, that's
God.
like the worst thing. It's like, and boy, you tell that to a Christian, ooh, woo,
Oh,
they'll be like, "Oh, you gonna try to use my own beliefs on me,
right,
huh?
right.
You gonna try to make me feel bad on that level? Okay, okay."
I know. It's like they're
That's
like,
the
well, I'm
worst.
not God.
Yeah.
Jesus
Did
knows
I
my
die on the
heart.
cross for you? Where are the nail prints in my hands?
I know, right?
Huh? There's no crown of thorns here.
Exactly. Yeah.
You can't crucify me. I'm not talking about Father, forgive you. No, no. That's
Right.
not
So
my
we
prayer.
know that's not my prayer. So we know if you are coming from a faith-based standpoint, you know that you are taught that you're supposed to quickly forgive. Be slow to anger, be quick to forgive. Um, so that is a hard thing. So
Yes.
Pastor Cal talked about forgiveness, and he says, forgiveness ain't for the punk. And again, we say, punks are people who run away from the problem. They
Yep.
don't show any kind of responsibility or accountability for their actions. And he said, how do you forgive? Okay. So first, I want to go ahead and say that his definition of forgiveness is really good.
Yeah.
And he said that forgiveness is complete abandonment of the offense. You release them from any retribution. So I thought that was really good when he said that forgiveness is complete abandonment of the offense. So
Mm-hmm.
once you forgive them, you are abandoning, you are erasing all offense. You are, again, he didn't say that you're going to forget it, but you're just erasing it. Like you're not going to focus on it. Because of course, it's in your memory. Okay. You didn't like take some kind of pill and it eradicated out of your memory.
The
It's
little
still
Men in
right.
Black thing. The
You're right.
little
Like bing.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Bing.
Nope, did not happen.
That didn't happen. So it's not that you're gonna forget about it, but you're just going to decide on purpose not to focus on it, not to remember it. And you're gonna release that person from any retribution, meaning any kind of revenge.
Ooh.
And that and that is like really, that is really,
This
really,
way
really,
this when
really
he
hard.
when his definition made me think, yeah, I don't know if I really forgiven people.
Right,
I might need to
right,
go back.
right.
Let me re-scrub in my mind.
Right. Yep. So
Yeah.
he said that, forgiving another person releases them from the offense. So once you forgive them, they are released. You have quote unquote pardoned their sins. You have released them from the prison of the offense they did to you. Again, it does not mean that you condone what they did. Is that you have on purpose decided that this relationship, this marriage, or even my own sanity is more important than me holding on to what you did to me. And I mean, a lot of people are walking around with unforgiveness in their heart, and it is hurting them. Like they are stressed out, they can't sleep. They're wondering why can't I get myself together? It's because you haven't forgiven somebody, or you forget, or you say you forgave them, but you really didn't.
Right.
And you're still like harboring those, just negative feelings about them. So he said that in order for you to forgive effectively, this is how you forgive. First, he said you want to check your emotions, okay? And he said that you have the ability, and I put in parentheses power. You have the ability or power to regulate the intensity of your feelings. And I was like, that is so true. Because even though you are hurt, you are offended, you are frustrated, you feel, you know the word, you're in pain, you know, you've been betrayed. Um,
Yes.
even though you have those feelings of sadness, even though you have those feelings of I just want to get back at them, you have the ability to regulate how intense those feelings get. Because then the more intensified they get, the more and more and more it's going to be hard for you to forgive them. So once you, and Yana Van Sant says something really good that I talk about forgiveness. She says there's nothing wrong with acknowledging the feelings. Acknowledge, I feel hurt. I am in pain. I feel betrayed. You hurt me. Acknowledge your feelings. I'm sad. I'm mad. I'm enraged. You know, I'm in total disbelief. You want to acknowledge the feelings, but then what are you going to do after the feelings? And then you want to really decide, okay, is if I act out on these feelings, is it beneficial to me? You know, is it gonna help me in my journey of life? You know, am I gonna continue to be enraged and revengeful throughout my life towards you? Or is it gonna, like, should I just go ahead and just, I guess, woosah and go through the healing process of forgiving you? So that is one thing. He said there are some questions though also that you want to ask yourself. He says you want to ask yourself, do you want, I'm sorry, do you want to acknowledge the pain and the hurt? Do you want acknowledgement of the pain and the hurt from the person? Okay. So do
Yeah.
you want acknowledgement of the pain and the hurt from the person? Do you want judgment or revenge? Because he did talk about that. He said, because some people want to forgive for judgment purposes, for them to, so, you know, you did this to me and how did you? Or they want to try to, you know, try to do the same thing for you, onto you, like an eye for an eye, you know, even though that was in the Old Testament and people try to use that, an eye for an eye, you know, like, no, God, Jesus came back, said we won't be doing that.
He says, oh guys, we're not doing that.
We're not doing that. Plus he asks, you know, do you want reconciliation? Do you want reconciliation after the forgiveness? And he says, when you forgive, do you just want the pain to stop? So are you forgiving just for the pain to stop? You know? And are you forgiving for reconciliation? Also, he said that you want to separate the person from the transgression or from what they did. It's in relationships and in a marriage. He says it is important for you not to separate from your spouse, but you want to separate what they did to you from them. So if your spouse cheated on you, you need to separate your spouse from the cheating, like from the act of it. So your spouse cheated, he's not a cheater. I think once you become something, it's something that you are habitually practicing. That's how I took that. So I am a cheater.
Tough.
You know what I'm saying? I'm a cheater if I am habitually practicing this. If I'm constantly doing this over and over and over again, then that is what I have become. Now, if I cheated one time, we talking about it, and then you want to separate that from me. Like, this was a really, really bad mistake that you made against me, against you, against our relationship. You have violated our relationship. And so you want to find a way. You want to find a way to separate the transgression from your spouse. He says, do not separate from your spouse. He said, it's important to find solution and healing immediately. He said, because it's one thing to separate from yourself as far as like, and you're in the same room with each other. And, you know, you're like, I gotta walk away, or I didn't go outside for a second. He says another thing for you to leave the house and pack up and go somewhere else. Because now you're not going to be reconciling anything. I mean, just think about it. If I leave the house, I'm not answering your calls right now. I'm not talking to you. I don't see you. You don't know where I am. But if I don't leave, then I have to see you. It's like I have to face what's going on every day when I see you. And so that is what starts the healing journey, is when we face it head on. So you don't want to just separate. You don't want to be a punk and just walk away and not face it head on. Yes, it's hurting. Yes, you can't believe it's happening to you. You need Almighty God to help you get out of this, but you do not want to separate from your spouse. Unless, of course, that person is physically and verbally abusing you. Okay, we
Yeah.
always want to say that.
Right.
Yeah.
Do not
He said
submit
this,
yourself to torture and abuse,
yeah,
right?
exactly. So almost done. There are two perspectives when it comes to forgiveness. There is the forgiver and
Mm,
there's the forgiven. Okay. The forgiven, he said that you need to be patient with the forgiver. Okay. So the forgiver is a person who was wronged, who was hurt, who was in pain. The forgiven is the person who did the hurt and who inflicted the hurt and the pain. He
yeah.
so he said the forgiver must not hold the offense over your partner as punishment. So once you have said, I forgive you, you must not hold it over the person as punishment, not through your words or through your actions. So so you don't want to start treating them as if they don't exist, as if they are less than you, because here's my thing. Just because you didn't do what they did doesn't mean you haven't done anything to hurt them as well. I want to say
Mm,
that because sometimes, especially in relationships and marriages, we will go, well, if this person cheat on you, that hurt, but if you did something else, like I don't know what it is, you took money and went and bought a boat, and you
or
did not
you regularly
right.
cut them off emotionally for
Yes.
years.
Yes. So just because it's like nothing is supposed to outweigh the other thing, so don't act as if you're better than them just because you didn't do what they did. So you
Hmm.
don't want to hold your partner in a place of imprisonment or punishment, because remember we said that forgiveness is a release of, like, it's a pardon of sins. You are
Yeah.
abandoning all kind of
Release
retribution
them
that
from the offense. Yep.
right, you're releasing them from the offense. Absolutely. um he also says there are questions that you want to ask. Has trust been broken? What needs to be done to rebuild? Has there been any physical consequences of the actions? And that's what we just talked about. The physical consequences could have been what? No more sex, no more
Right.
touching. You may
Right.
have decided not to do that anymore. He says, and are there strings that need to be cut off? So if you did cheat, what do you need to do to make sure you don't cheat again? Like, who is that person who was supposed to be your Facebook friend, but now you went too far and then you cheated, even if it's an emotional affair or a physical affair. And it's not,
Hmm.
I know we're talking about affairs. It could be other things, maybe they went and told your business to somebody and
Right.
they weren't supposed to, so your trust is now broken with them. Maybe again they made financial decisions without asking you, so now they disrespected you in the area of seeing you as an equal in the relationship or in the marriage. So there are other things that could have happened that could have that you need to do to cut things off. Like, don't sit at home and watch HSN. And what do this is one thing that you're probably not be thinking about, but one thing to cut off is your mindset that I am single when I'm married.
Ooh.
That could be a thing, because if you are making decisions like buying things without your partner's acknowledgement, that's thinking that this is my money. This is not our money. So if you're, I would say this, if you're using the money that y'all put in the same account together to go and purchase something that you didn't talk to your spouse about, then that's wrong. Now, if this is money that outside of the joint account money, then that's different. Depending on
Hmm.
what kind of conversation y'all had about that, that's different. But
Right.
just basically, if you did anything to hurt the person, you want to, like, what you all right, whatever that trigger is, you want to go ahead and cut it off. And a big thing that he said, that there is no timetable to get over it. And I can tell you right now, that was something that my problem was in my previous marriage. I was the
Mm.
one who hurt him. I was the one who did the offense, and because he forgave me, and we were going to counseling for it and we were reconciling, I felt like, okay, well, you forgive me. Why you need to get over it? Like, you just need to go ahead and get over it now. We're back together. We're moving ahead. And it was like, no, you can't tell the person when to get over it.
Right,
They
right,
have forgiven you, but you have to give them time to do what? To rebuild the trust, because trust is not automatic. It is
right.
earned. So this person has to trust you all over again in what area that has been violated. And but again, with that being said, the person who forgave, the forgiver, you can't hold that over that person. Like, you can't, like, just because it's on timetable and it's going to take me a while to forgive you does not mean I'm supposed to treat you like like you're the scum of the earth. Or I'm supposed to treat everybody else outside the home better than I treat you. You don't do that. So that's all I have, y'all.
Yeah. Well, so I would add to that because I think that's such a good point about the timeline thing.
Right.
I don't know if everybody, if you follow the whole DJ Envy and his wife Gia, but she she actually was saying this is how I knew that he was really sorry, because every single thing I asked or required of him, he did it. He took it. If I asked him questions, he talked about it. If I wanted us to go do the session, he did it. All of those different kind of things. And I would say that is part of the process between the forgiver and the forgiven. It's like, maybe for me, if I'm not a person who wants to say I forgive you until I really mean it, it's gonna take a whole long process before I really, really mean I forgive you. And if you're and if you're the person who has done the offense, then you really are just gonna have to take that. Like, if I do something to my partner and I'm really sincerely wanting their forgiveness, I'm just gonna have to eat it. Like, no
Right.
matter how frustrating it's the difference of, somebody's says like, now when you took the money and da 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 da, you're like, all right, I already said I was sorry.
Yeah.
Good grief. How many times are you gonna ask me about it? As many
Right.
times as I need to process it. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? And it's like, it is difficult, but if you do the offense, you do have to give that person all that time, especially if you want the true healing, if you want the real forgiveness. That's why I said, like, even me listening to this, I was like, man, I wonder if I really have ever forgiven somebody that has wronged me, because I know I be
Right.
thinking about it, but I don't think I've ever uh, been mature enough to go through the process of, okay, what are the emotions? Why am I still angry about this? Why did this hurt me? Why did I have this reaction? Have I made a conscious, proactive effort to decide I'm going to
Right.
release this and let this go? And yeah, that takes a hard time. I mean, like, for example, I give you a non-relationship example just to deal about the concept of forgiveness. Do you feel, this is the general you, do you feel like you could forgive the mass shooter at Tops in Buffalo?
Wow. Yeah.
Can you know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
the dude oh man, now I forget the George Floyd, Derek Chauvin.
Yeah.
Do you forgive him for what he's done? I mean, as or like, if something had offended you to that level, you know,
Mhm.
or in your relationship, if somebody does something that harsh, maybe it's not like a infidelity thing, but it's like they talk about you behind your back
Right.
constantly,
Right.
or maybe in public they're always belittling you. They're like doing
Yeah.
something that is really, really offensive, and you're just
Mhm.
like, dude, I have to take this and take this and take this, and then blow up to the point where you're like, dude, I can't take this anymore, and
Right.
they realize it. you know don't be so quick to say I forgive you. Be realistic. I think that's kind of like what the Iyanla Van Zant said, like, lean into your emotion and go ahead
Mhm.
and take that time and process it, and don't
Right.
feel rushed, because if you rush it, Oh man, what was that movie? It was this. It was a comedy. Oh dude, what was this movie? The Love Guru. It was like one of those Mike Myers movies. The guy that did
Uh,
um
yeah,
oh
Wayne's
anyway.
World and
Yeah, Ways where
yeah.
what was the one I'm thinking? The super popular one that he did. Yeah,
Dang,
what is it? Wow, we're
I
getting old. What is that dang movie called?
But
Austin
Goldfinger is
Powers. Austin
Austin
Powers.
Powers, yes.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
gonna say
yeah, yeah. So
Goldfinger, but
it was like
Goldfinger.
silly like that. But in that Love Guru movie, he
Uh-huh.
said you can't take shortcuts because he was
Oh,
trying to help this guy connect. I think that was the whole story. The plot was like he was trying to get this guy and this girl into this relationship. He says, but if you want to get her, you can't take shortcuts. And
right.
it's so true in anything. If you really want the reality of the situation to happen, you can't take shortcuts. You can't try to
Yeah,
say, all right, I know I'm supposed to forgive you, so I'm gonna just say it. But if you're
yeah,
not there yet, you can't you shouldn't say it. You know, you
right.
should go through the process and lean into it. And yeah, if you have
Mhm.
another question about something you were thinking about, say it.
Yeah,
If you have another
yeah,
thing that you're thinking about, talk about it. You know, that's the only way that you're truly gonna get to the
right.
point where you can say, okay, you know what? I have done the work and I really feel like the weight can be lifted. I'm ready to lift the weight. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. I understand. It is hard to show it on. It's hard to not show it on your face. You're like,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I don't
No,
know,
you're
but
right.
yeah,
You're right.
yeah, that is
You're
true
right.
though. That you should not say it if you don't believe it. But what about the flip side to as far as like Christianity that says, just forgive right away. Like just
Whew.
forgive right away, without any kind of thought because God told us to forgive and we should forgive right away.
So here's what I would do.
Hmm.
I'm gonna challenge that interpretation. I'm
Okay.
gonna ask somebody. I'm gonna whatever. Like if a pastor or some preacher or teacher or somebody tells me that, I'm gonna be like, okay, show me where you read that. And then let's talk because you know there you because here's the thing, especially when it comes to religion,
Right.
you know, there's like what the Bible says, and then there's like all of
Right.
these things that people have said over the years, and they
Right.
become like this is our beliefs now, but they're like, man, that was
Yeah.
something that Jack Jr.'s grandma said back in the day. And that wasn't even what was in the scripture in the first place, you know. So I would challenge those kind of things because, and the only reason I
Yeah.
would be really adamant about challenging those things is because when we take things to the principle of our religious beliefs, now it's like even more serious than just a good idea, than just a psychological suggestion for your
Right.
like emotional growth, because
Mhm.
that's the point where um, people will try to subject themselves to things that are unnatural against their will because they hold it
Mhm.
in such a high regard as as
Mhm.
a religious thing. Like, okay, Jesus said this, then now I gotta make myself do it, even if it's totally unnatural to me. So if there is like some scripture that says right away, then I would be like, okay, well let's figure out what they meant by that. Um,
Right.
you know, because I would think that the God who made us understands how we process things. And
Mhm.
while God would say, you do have to forgive, I would think that God would understand that it still takes time or that you can't even do it. Like in the book, he says, forgiveness. What was the quote from the famous poet, right? To err is human, to forgive is divine. It's like of
Oh,
your own will, you
Alexander
can't
Pope.
do it.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Alexander Pope.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. He was like, you can't. He's like, it's
Mhm.
like
Uh-huh.
true
Yeah.
forgiveness. It's actually something that transcends some human abilities.
Mhm.
Like true forgiveness, where you're fully absolving people. He's like, you need divine help in order to be able to do that.
Right. Right.
So, you know, I would challenge people that are trying to say you have to do it right away. I would say maybe what you could do right away is begin the process. You could say, all right, I'm resolved that I'm going to uh, get into the process of forgiving you. And so the process might still take a while, but I have already decided in my heart that I'm not going to
Right.
just say, I will not forgive you. I'm just going to punish you. I'm only going to attack you, and I'm
Mhm.
only going to be hostile to you.
Right.
It's like, no, because then that's actually poisoning you, right? That's poisoning your soul.
Right.
But yeah, I would tell people, I would say,
Right.
let's encourage ourselves to lean into the process of forgiveness right away, and then let
Mhm.
that thing take its course. Let that thing take its course.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, because the only thing I know as far as forgiveness, he always told us to forgive, but in regards to when to forgive, from what I remember, he told us when to forgive scripture is regarding when you come to him to ask for anything. So he said, if you're coming to me to ask for anything, you need to forgive first, that I may forgive you of your sins, and then you may ask of what you will. But you can't come to me and say, give me, and you haven't forgiven your brother, your sister.
Yeah.
And he does tell us over and over again that we need to forgive and forgive and forgive. And then there's a scripture, how many times are we supposed to forgive? And he was like 77 times. You're supposed to just keep forgiving.
Yeah.
You just keep forgiving, and don't be, smart butt and say, well, I forgave them 77 times. No, you didn't. They didn't do 77.
No,
What did he say? 77.
If you count, you probably didn't do it once.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you're not supposed to count in how many times it hurts you. But yeah.
Right.
So yeah, so that's good stuff. So I can say that my conclusion of these 2 chapters, I would say that, apologizing starts the healing process of the relationship, and the forgiveness part starts the healing process of yourself. So
yeah, that's good.
Once you initiate the apology, then the relationship can start to heal. And then once you forgive, then you can heal yourself, because forgiveness is about you. It's not about them. You have to you have to recognize the impact of forgiveness, like the weight of forgiveness, because it relieves you. Not only does it pardon their sins, but it relieves you of the weight of the emotions that you have, and the intensity of it. Like he said, you have the ability, you have the power to regulate how intense you want that feeling to be. And so you like, do I really want to be this angry? Like, what is it doing to my body? Because unforgiveness does really affect your body physically. So you want to recognize that. What's your conclusion out of these 2 chapters?
Man, yeah, my conclusion is that as a human being, I have a lot of work to do in terms of apologies and forgiveness, but it is worth the work. The work is worth it. I'll say it like that. Yeah, I have a lot of work to do, but the work is worth it, if I had to kind of concisely say it. Because man, when you can get to the point where it becomes second nature to apologize genuinely, to forgive liberally, freely, a weight is lifted off of you. You that's almost like when you like the equivalent of, I don't know how to roller skate, and now I can skate backwards and be doing all the stuff everybody's seen when they're looking at all the reels and TikToks and stuff. It's like when you can flow with that stuff, oh man, it's so freeing. You feel like empowered, and you have there's like another level of joy in your life,
Right.
So I think it's a worthwhile effort to try and get there. But don't lie to yourself and tell yourself you're there when you're not, because in the like there's joy in the process, there's learning and growth in the journey getting there, and then when you do get closer and closer, it's freeing.
Absolutely. So my quote for today is, your actions reflect your words reflect your heart. So out of the heart the mouth speaks, as we know. So if my actions are a reflection of what I said, so if I'm saying that I forgive you, that means my actions are going to be a reflection of what I'm saying. And and also my words, if I'm saying that I forgive you, that means that in my heart I have forgiven you. So I'm not just saying it. That's why, like Donovan said, that you need to make sure that you process the forgiveness.
Yeah.
If you're not there yet, be honest. Be honest with the person that, what, I want to forgive you. I just haven't gotten there yet. I'm trying. I'm really trying. I'm really giving it to God. I really want to forgive what you have done to me. I'm just haven't gotten there yet. And that's not for everybody. Some people can easily forgive, right away. I think sometimes it depends on the offense, even though it shouldn't. But if someone, ate your pizza and and you, I mean, come on now, you're married, you're in a relationship, y'all live together, okay? You left your pizza, 2 slices of pizza, the last 2, it was yours, it was specially ordered. They had pepperoni, but you had this special order of pizza, and they came home before you and they ate it. And you came home and you're all day, you've been thinking, oh, I can't wait to get home and eat my pineapple and ham pizza. And then you get home and you're like, where my pizza at? And you go, oh, I didn't know you wanted that. So how quick are you going to forgive that? So,
I love food, so the work is worth it. The work is worth it.
You want, so
no, but yeah, that's definitely not as intense as
right.
somebody
somebody
devaluing you in the relationship.
So in some areas you may forgive quicker, and in some areas you may not. It doesn't mean that you are not willing to work on the process. Just be honest with yourself. Be honest with your significant other, and let your actions reflect your words, and let your words be a reflection of your heart. Okay. Yeah. Also, don't forget, a happy spouse, happy house. It's not happy wife, happy life, because your wife and your husband and both of y'all matter in the relationship. The woman's word is not more important. Right. Both people matter. The woman's word is not supposed to be reign more than the husband, and vice versa. So happy spouse, happy house. So again, remember, you do have the ability to regulate your own intensity of your feelings. And like we said earlier, to err is human and to forgive is divine, by Alexander Pope. Calvin Robertson, he said that, forgiveness is a heavenly action. So I think remembering that you cannot forgive in it of yourself. I think you have to, when it's something really offensive, you have to forgive from the strength of God. There's no way in the world that you can do it on your own, because if you're doing it of your own strength and of your own knowledge and understanding, you're always going to be drawn back to your feelings. God bless you. Your feelings will drive you on whether or not you're going to do it or not. But if I am relying on God, then my feelings don't matter, because I'm going to do what God tells me to do. So that's all for that. We got a scripture.
Yes, indeed. Which I think fits right into what you're saying. Romans 14:19 says, "So then, let us pursue what makes for peace and for building up one another." The biggest concept that I pull from these is this idea that regardless of if you're right or wrong, regardless of how what your perspective is, do you value the relationship more than the argument? And if you value the relationship most, then that's what you're going to work towards. Whatever builds up the relationship, whatever brings peace between you and your partner. Those are the things that will last. Those are the things that you want to establish, instead of establishing like your battle lines and war grounds in your relationship. So work towards peace, work towards the things that build each other up,
Yes, absolutely. Yep. So that's it for today's episode, you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. If you are watching this live, thank you so much for everyone in the comment section. Thank you so much for joining us. If you're watching this on repeat, thank you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment. Follow us on Anchor and Apple and Google and wherever you stream your podcast.
Spotify, all those.
Right. And as well as don't forget to tell people about our YouTube channel. We are here. We are live.
We out here.
Live and in color. And live in color.
Hey. You can
Yeah, so
do
thank you so
what
much
you wanna do. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
yeah, so
That's
thank
right.
y'all so much. And again, so you know, that's
That's the
the way
way
love
love
goes.
goes. We're
Bye,
gonna
you
get that smooth. Bye.
guys.